on, y'all? This is the Lending Bros Podcast Holiday Edition.
Whoa,
We
the last one of the year.
We are less than a week from Christmas.
Are you worried?
Crazy. I have done zero shopping. Now, my son has all his gifts because my wife is amazing.
Yeah.
Generally, my path with Christmas is I don't pay attention all year to the multiple hints that my wife drops.
Love that.
She's got it figured out that if she mentions something expensive around November, that'll be the last thing I remember and the only option I have. And so when I wait until the week before, I just have to spend entirely too much money on a gift for her.
Love that.
Because it's the only thing I have.
So my wife started putting stuff in the Amazon cart.
I like that.
And then I would just save everything later. Then she finally called me out. She's like, hey, bro, I'm doing this to help you. So I made a list on Amazon.
Look at you.
And then I will buy nothing from the list and other random things that I find that I think she'll like and she probably won't.
I love it.
Yeah.
What your kids are, 12 and 6?
12 and 8.
8.
For you.
8
Super close.
Are they getting probably boring? Well, at least Mason, he's going to have some boring gifts.
So Mason, he's getting all like shooting stuff for all the
pretty cool
air pistol stuff. And then my daughter is getting, we are getting our 8-year-old a phone.
Oh, wow.
Something I never thought I would do.
It's a thing, huh?
8-year-old's getting a phone.
No social media?
It's going to be completely locked down.
Okay. I did see Instagram came out with Instagram for teens. I think this week, maybe.
Really?
Which is pretty cool. So like caps what they can look at and no one that they don't follow can send them messages and stuff like that. So
that's cool.
Now Cor can get Instagram.
She's not a teen, so I still have 5 more years.
Sure you do. But obviously the end of 2024. So just looking back, what do you think what's some of your biggest takeaways from this year and just 2024 mortgage industry in general?
So I've been trying to look at all the activities I do and try to figure out like the best way to be smart on and efficient on those things. I think we were talking about before on like just simple stuff like inviting clients to events.
Yeah.
I'm getting better responses when I'm just texting and doing a voicemail drop versus actually calling them because people don't really want to talk anymore on the phone.
Yeah, imagine that.
I think we're there. I think just reduplicating that with following up with buyers and stuff. It's a different pace this year just because it's not hasn't been a buyer's market. So just like a different pace of figuring out how I don't want to harass them, but also I don't want them to forget about me.
For sure.
So it's been a kind of give and take on there. So what about you, man?
Yeah, looking back, I think the biggest change we both made to our business is definitely probably a more consultative approach.
Yeah.
Right. And we're spending more time with each client, not necessarily focused on how quickly can we get approval out, right? But making sure they understand the benefits of purchasing a home, the risk of purchasing a home, and sending a client back that's hopefully more excited to purchase than we got them.
Yeah.
So I know we both worked really hard on that, and Division's been super helpful with everyone in there doing that as well. So yeah, I think if you're looking at 2024 business from 2023 business, at least I'll speak for myself and my clients, I think they are definitely more educated and more informed about making a purchase. Obviously, like you said, isn't necessarily a buyer. It is a buyer's market, right? But not a ton of buyers buying.
Yeah.
So that's been a change too, right? The life of a lead is taking a little
It's not 90
longer.
days anymore. It's like
No.
9 years.
Yeah. And then we talked about it, right? I do think there was more fallout when it comes to inspections, things like that, just because the buyers feel like they have more control, and they do have more control.
Power.
So 2 years ago, whatever that was, 2022, 2021, the house could be falling down and the sellers, we've got 30 more
The roof
offers.
shot, there's cracks everywhere. You need 50 piers. They're like, cool. Can you like get around the appraisal? Or
Yeah, because that in order to hit goals, right, you have to close, you have to get more in the funnel, and
for sure.
And look at that. So that's been, what I'm focusing on with 2024. How about, and I'm gonna have to think about this, what is one of your biggest, what do you feel like is your number one learning experience in 2024?
Ooh. Number one learning experience. I'm going to give you a personal and a work.
I love that.
Glad you love that. I think personal is don't mistake time with family as like quality time. I've made an effort the second part of the year. I installed like an app tracker to check my time.
Yeah.
Apparently I was on my phone a lot when I was with my family. Yeah, shocker. So even if I spend less time with the family, but I'm completely all in, phone in the other room kind of thing, it's more impactful for them. And I find my cup is more full. I think that's my biggest personal. Professional, I feel like a lot of people in the industry, both real estate, mortgage, everything, were really humbled this last 18 months. And people are just hungry for education. Like we've had some really good conversations with some other like peers in the mortgage industry, and people are just like hungry for just education information. Same thing on the real estate side. We got the disco light going on up there. You can't? Good. Okay. On the real estate side of things, a lot of realtors that have been doing this for 3 or 4 months, I feel like have a different mindset, and people that are been doing this for 3, 4, 10 years are coming at me with questions that I thought that they knew that. So I think it's been cool that we're all grinding out together and figuring out ways to win in this market.
For sure.
What about you?
Man, it's been, we've actually were talking about this last night right at dinner, but I do think one of the bigger learning lessons I've had and continue to have, right, is that time does not equal money. And I think that's a pretty common misconception that you can close more business, do more without necessarily working more, taking time away from your family. So I know we've worked from a branch level on the mortgage side, the loan officer side of things, to set things up to where our people and ourselves are closing more business, doing the volume they want, but with a focus on, spending more time with their families and doing that, because that's the whole point, right?
Yeah. There's been a shift too from people like what other employees, this is not just mortgage, I think it's just as a whole, the workforce, like employees, whether they're in a support role or a sales role at law stores, whatever, I think they're hungry for that.
Yeah. No, for sure. And then, I do feel like if I look today versus beginning of the year, I feel like the people that we have on the team and that are helping with, and the people that I'm doing business with, I don't think I've ever felt better about that.
Yeah.
Heading into 2025.
Agreed, man.
I'm excited.
It's been a long road to get here.
Yeah.
12 months, 14 months.
What do you mean?
And managing the branch.
Oh, I think 15.
15?
Yeah, something
Counting
like
the days, yeah.
Yeah, maybe more than that. 16.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. But some less, obviously that's 2024, right? Talking about 2025, what are your expectations both in mortgage and in real estate?
Ooh. Is this like a market forecast answer? Is that what I'm giving you? Or what are my goals?
I was thinking more like market forecast.
Let's do it.
But if you can hit me with some goals if you want.
So I don't remember where I read it. There was an economist that said that they're projecting like a 4.3% appreciation in homes in 2025. I think that's actually a good bit better than what we were expecting that to be like June, mid 2024. So I love that. I love seeing that. Personally, I think it might be a little bit more. Historical average is right at 3.2% for the last 60-year average for home appreciation. So I think anything around there after the last year or so, it's been pretty flat.
For sure.
I think that'd be awesome and a huge win for buyers right now. Homeowners, I'm sorry. As far as mortgage rates, as long as Powell stops opening his freaking mouth.
Yeah, he's the worst.
I think we'll have some lower rates, but yesterday he just spoke and rates went up. I hope that the Feds get a little bit more aggressive with the rate cuts so that, because right now they're just stopping the bleeding on there. So really need to see some gains and some wins for the market to see the rates improve. But hopeful that we'll see rates by the end of the year in the low sixes is what I'm hoping for.
For sure. Yeah. I think on the real estate side, I expect to get back to just a healthier market. Right? I expect it to be right around historical appreciation. That's most of what I have seen, anywhere from 2 to 5% appreciation, which is good. That doesn't price people out of the market, but it's also, you stack that up over a couple of years and there can be, some significant that's created. On the mortgage side, unfortunately, I think we're probably going to see higher rates for longer. I know a lot of people were expecting 2025 to really start to drop. I think in a weird way, the economy continue to doing, and the job market to continually doing well, even though some of that may be some number fudging, I think has made the Fed more confident that they don't necessarily need to lower rates. Because we talked about it before, right? And one of the main things that the Federal Reserve will use to stimulate an economy that is in recession or lacking is lowering rates.
Yeah.
And if they don't do that, then, that means that they're confident in the economy. So you're right. Powell spoke yesterday, seemed like he was trending towards doing less in 2025 and seeing what the market does and be less aggressive in rate cuts. So the market, this is one of those weird ways, and we've talked about it plenty before, right? The Federal Reserve does not control mortgage interest rates. And yesterday you had a 25 basis point cut in federal rate, and you probably gained
50 basis points.
0.25 to interest rate yesterday. So that's definitely a PSA, right? If you hear that the Federal Reserve has cut rates yesterday or whenever this is coming out, that actually the opposite happened in the mortgage world, right? Your rate went up because they were pricing in some of the longer term rate cuts in 2025. And when Chairman Powell spoke, that seemed to maybe not be the plan for the Fed anymore.
Yeah. I talked to a really smart guy yesterday, does logistics. He's a veteran, super bright dude. And he's like, yeah, man, have you watched the market today? He's like, yeah, I was watching Bitcoin and like stock market. It was going crazy. And he was happy. And I was like, I'm assuming you didn't see mortgage rates. He's like, yeah, they cut 0.25%. I'm assuming they changed. They did change. Brought the chart up. I was like, they got worse.
It's
How does this make any sense?
Yeah.
Fun times.
Yeah, it is. The hope for me is that it's at least not super volatile.
Yeah.
Right. If rates are going to stay a little higher, they're just consistently higher, and you don't have the pretty big spikes that we see. That doesn't help anybody, and especially us.
100%.
That's on the real estate side. If you're a buyer, right, what are some of the opportunities that you see coming up, specifically in the early part of 2025?
Yeah. I think if you're looking for anything in the more rural area, if you're looking to purchase something, there are some killer deals.
Yeah.
Because what happened is everybody in 2020 was working remote, working from home. They said, I want to be away. I hate people. I want to be away from them. How far can I get? Want some property, want some land. They picked up a 4-acre Paradise, Texas. Didn't know that was a thing. Pick up a 4-acre lot of land in Paradise, Texas. I don't need to worry about my 2-hour commute to work.
Yeah.
And then shocker, everything's under control, back to normal-ish, and people are having to go back to work. They're not happy with that 2-hour drive anymore. They're selling the house for a pretty big discount. I had a buyer that they're in the process, under contract on a house, $650,000 home that listed through the county. The value is $650,000, and they're buying it for $450,000. And it's $50,000-$60,000 below any kind of comp.
Yeah.
So they're getting a killer deal. All their closing costs paid for, plus a 2-1 buy down. It's a VA loan. So just an awesome deal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you are a buyer, I think it pretty much always, regardless of market, pays to if you can find the right house. That's the biggest caveat. Get a good realtor who is going to find you what you're looking for. But assuming that is out of the way, right, it always is going to pay to try to purchase a home when less people are.
Yeah.
Sellers, if they're listing their home in the fourth quarter or the first quarter, they need to sell it, right? There's a reason they're listing it. And to your point, right, I've seen a lot of contingent offers be accepted, which normally isn't a thing. I've seen contingent offers be accepted that are $40,000, $50,000 under.
Yeah.
I think the biggest misconception, I actually talked to a client about this yesterday, is just because homes are being accepted under list price doesn't mean that homes are depreciating that much. That, shocker.
Yeah.
Not everyone lists their home for what their home is worth. So I think there's been a lot of that in 2024.
Why is that, do you feel? Like, I haven't, 12 years doing this, I haven't really seen list prices be so far of a range from overpriced to price really aggressively and everything between. Like, why do you think that is?
I think it's just, unfortunately, I think when people are looking at the market, they are not removing the absolute 2 unicorn years that was COVID.
Yeah.
Like, you could you could list your home for whatever you wanted.
You could rent it too for whatever you wanted.
Yeah, you could rent it too for whatever you wanted. And so that's just, if you go back and look, and it's unfortunate for people who bought during that time, that wasn't true value. You were paying over value.
Yeah.
And so I think sellers that was only 2 years ago?
Yeah.
3 years ago? And so it's going to take a little bit for sellers to get used to what their home is actually worth.
Yeah.
Because, everyone was seeing how much their neighbors were selling homes for and COVID and multiple offers and things like that. And, it wasn't a healthy market, and it's hopefully not a market we go back to anytime soon.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. We got a Reddit post. This is my favorite segment of the pod. We've got interested _spot 3814 is talking about house shopping in the middle of 2025. So he said, this is my first time buying a house. I'm wondering what buying a house in mid 2025 around September, October will look like. And I'd love to get some insights from experts here. I'm considering September or October 2026, but I'm not sure when the right time to buy would be. I'm ready to buy around next year though. Obviously it's hard to predict, but do you think housing prices or mortgage rates will be favorable around that time? When should I start preparing for looking for a home?
First thing I would say is September, October is not mid, it's end of year.
Okay.
I would say that. Will interest rates be better? The true answer is no one has any idea. But if we look at history as far as what the price will be, it will be, history repeats itself, the price will be higher than it is now.
Yeah.
So I think the one thing you can control is buying the house right now. I just had this conversation the other day with a buyer that I actually advised him to not buy.
Yeah.
He was renting. He's a single dude. He has really low rent. he's possibly going to move in a year and he has no interest in renting out the home.
Yeah.
This is not the market where you want to buy a house if you're not going to keep that house for at least 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't mean you have to live in it. Actually, if I was a single dude, no
House
kids,
hack, baby.
buy that thing for a year, live in it, rent it out. But he had no interest in renting it out. So for him, I actually told him, hey man, I think you should sit tight and stay where you're at. So I think the best time to buy, history repeats itself, which it typically does, is today as far as prices.
Yeah.
I could sell someone all day and forecast in my crystal ball if rates are going to go down. They should go down. They're forecasted to go down. But there's one thing that's certain is rates that is prices are going to go up.
Yeah. No, I think and we've had this conversation a bunch, but if you're looking at a time to purchase and you're caring more about interest rates than price of house, right, then yeah, you should probably wait. The problem with that is going to be if you're buying a home in a low interest rate environment, you are going to pay more. It's just super simple supply and demand. Right?
Yep.
It's not like a overly challenging concept. I think the only reason you should be concerned and care about the rate you're getting, one, you want to make sure it's around what the market is, right? You don't want to overpay.
Yep.
But two is budget. So that's really the main reason. If you're stuck on a certain price and you need a certain rate to get there, you need to have a conversation with a lender on what that looks like, monthly payments, different programs that are out there. Because the problem is if you're stuck on that price and you're going to wait for rates to drop, that price is going to go up. Even if rates stay the same, and we just talked about historical appreciation being 3 to 4%.
Yeah.
That's on a $400,000 home. It's going to eat up the difference in rate, regardless, even on the 3% appreciation. So I would only worry about interest rates from a qualifying side standpoint and a budget standpoint. I wouldn't necessarily focus on home price with interest rates.
Yeah. Yeah. If that prediction's right, that we see 4% appreciation in the next 2 years, that's what, $32,000 on, that same house today, that same house for $400,000 is going to cost $432,000 in 2 years from now, 18 months from now.
Yeah.
So it seems like a no-brainer.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Obviously, I know we've both been knee deep in numbers and spreadsheets and stuff like that, looking at 2025 stuff. Walk me through your goal setting process when you do that. What do you look at?
Yeah.
And run me through that process.
So my end goal that I'm trying to get to is, and I learned this from Todd Duncan first year in the business. Shout out Todd. Is to figure out what is the single number that I need to focus on every single day.
Yeah.
And the one thing I have control over is how many conversations I can have per day. So that's the end goal I'm trying to work to. I've picked different things from different people and processes to get to where this is, but I know exactly how many families I need to serve this next year in 2025 to pay my bills. I know how many I need to in order to fund my perfect life. And I think getting from someone I'm not super motivated, super money motivated, not super money motivated, finding something else to focus on that is beyond just padding my bank account has been super important to keep me motivated. Going through that process, dollarize it, figure out how much I make on every single transaction. And then that's what I need to focus on. So I know I need to talk to 4 buyers per day to fund my perfect life. I need to talk to 2 buyers per day to pay the bills.
Nice.
What's your approach on that?
Yeah, I think it starts with a pretty deep dive into the previous year, looking at conversion rates, because I think all of us are guilty of this. I would imagine this industry, it should be happening, if not daily, weekly, or monthly.
Yeah.
Right. But taking a look at referral sources or places that you maybe think you're getting a lot of business from or maybe great. And then when you actually do the math, it isn't as good. So you can either double down on that and get it back to where it needs to be, or
have some difficult conversations.
Yeah. So a lot of that. And then to your point, it's I break it down based on conversations and credit pulls on the average that I did the previous year to come to that. And I agree with you, right? I think that's where there's a lot of value and validity in vision boards and things like that, because eventually at a certain point, money's going to stop being a motivator.
Yeah.
Especially as you reach a higher and higher level, if that money isn't attached to something that, is meaningful.
Yeah. I had a conversation with Adam Macias over at KOM. He's a productivity coach over there. And he said one of the top agents over there was like, yeah, I want to do 50 sides, 50 buyers and sellers. And he goes, okay, is that enough? Or why do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Just because that's the biggest I've ever done. I want to do that. He's okay, is that enough? Do you want to do more? Well, sure. All right, how much? 75. Okay. Is that it? That's all you want to do?
Yeah.
And trying to figure out, okay, what's the bigger purpose here? Like, what's the ceiling and what's the trade-off on it? That's cool, man. It's been a lot of learning opportunities from the business planning side for sure this year.
For sure. Yeah. Same. Obviously, we're coming up on the new year. Are you a New Year's resolution guy? Are you walk me through that. You got any in mind?
I've tried, and I'm purposely using limited belief language here. I've tried them in the past and they suck.
Yeah.
I've tried pretty much every single like typical New Year's resolution. So I've determined this year I'm not. I think
Just going to give up on getting better, huh?
Yeah, no more improvement.
Yeah.
Well, I'm taking the 12-week year approach. So we started it in December 1st. I started with my team. And then so that the end of that 12-week year is going to be end of February on there. So try to figure out like, that's the resolution is I have goals to get to the end of February. And then at that time, I'm going to reevaluate what's working and then, plan for March 1st at that point.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. I'm not a huge resolution guy. I do think I'm going to set a goal for books read, try to read, and not like fiction or anything. I don't have time to read that, unfortunately, these days. But yeah, I'm going to try to get through the whole Harry Potter series. But
like 12 books in there.
Yeah, 7, I think.
Is there?
But I'm going to try to read a book a month.
Nice.
Just a self-help, I don't think is necessarily the word I'm looking for. I'm talking like a business-oriented goal. It reminds me of the Wedding Crasher scene where I'm reading books on how not to kill myself. Great movie. But shout out Owen Wilson. But
what book are you reading next?
It's a great question. We just finished up Unreasonable Hospitality. Loved it.
One of my top 5 for sure.
And the next book that I'm going to do, it's actually, I guess, like a workbook, right? It's the Start With Why, find a vision, find it for 2025, 2026.
Simon Sinek, man.
Yeah, for sure. What does Christmas morning look like at the Sharp household?
So we're open invite. If you're watching this, feel free to come over Christmas Eve. Like everyone's invited.
He doesn't mean that.
I do. Just give me a heads up so I can get enough food. But we're doing brunch at our house Christmas Eve.
Okay.
It's open invite. Whoever wants to come, friends, family, whatever. So we'll probably have like 15, 20 people over there for Christmas Eve.
Brunch on Christmas Eve?
Yeah.
Okay. What's on the menu?
So we're going to do mimosas.
Obviously.
Got omelets.
Is it like a make your own omelet station or it's going to be pre-made omelets?
So I just decided, it's very well thought out. 10 minutes before I got at the office today, I called my wife and I said, okay, you and Cora, our 8-year-old, are going to focus on making waffles. You're going to do the waffle station.
Love that.
And then Mason and I, which is going to be a disaster, are going to do the omelet station.
Yeah.
And we got like some cheese and honey baked ham. Shout out to honey baked ham.
Yeah.
If you want to sponsor this, it'd be awesome. And then
we'll eat a ham a week on air.
Yeah. And wash it down with what's the heart attack drink that we had?
C4.
C4.
Yeah.
What could go wrong? Yeah. And then we'll have probably my sister-in-law doing mimosas and keeping us nice.
How many people are you expecting?
12 to 20.
All right. Do y'all do gifts on Christmas Eve or do you do gifts on Christmas? Both?
So we do on Christmas morning, we will not leave the house. Anyone can come to us, but we started that with the kids, we'll do whatever Christmas Eve, but Christmas Day, we won't leave. We'll do our presents and Santa comes and obviously everything there, right, on Christmas Day. And then anyone that's over there will open presents with them, their presents on Christmas Eve. So, yeah. What are y'all having people over your house or?
So we'll do Christmas Eve with my mother at her house and my family will come in and we'll all be in her house. And then I lost the battle this year. I tried to get us to go to a restaurant for Christmas Eve. She wants to cook pasta. Fun fact, love my mother to death. Not a great cook. So
pasta's pretty safe.
Making your own pasta.
Oh, yeah, make her own pasta.
Yeah, the whole thing. So probably gonna look for some late night Chinese on our way from her house. But so we do gifts from each other on Christmas Eve, and those are wrapped.
Yeah.
And then Christmas morning will be at our house. That's when Santa comes. That is unwrapped.
Does the same people from Christmas Eve come over to your house on Christmas Day?
So my mom and my sister come over to just play with Jackson mid-morning.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back to my mother's house. The Santa also comes to my mom's house.
You lost that battle too.
Yep. And then we'll do Santa there. We'll come back to our house for nap.
Wow.
And then Rebecca's family will come in.
To your house.
Yep. And I'm going to cook prime rib and
sous vide?
Yes, of course. The sous vide.
Do you sear it before or after you sous vide it?
I sous vide it, or I sear it after.
Yeah?
Yeah. There's conflicting reports on that.
Reverse sear. You got to send some
You're
pics.
a reverse guy?
I'm a reverse guy.
I just worry that it's gonna like kind of do you
crust.
re-sear it after the?
No, I'm first here, so I'll sous vide it and then to like 130.
Mhm.
Is that what 130 degrees?
I'm like a 126 guy.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you sear it, and that
Yep.
gets it to like a medium rare.
Yep.
Good for you. I need to come over to your house, bro.
Come on,
Open
bro.
invite to your house.
Open invite, of course.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'll drop off the kids.
Yeah, there you go. So, hey, will you say what he needs to say? Because I know he doesn't remember it. Oh, I clicked off. What are we looking for?
I'm gonna fuck you up.
Notes. Oh, found it. All right, switch me.
Wait.
So I think that's all we got. So hope everybody has a great Christmas and holiday season, and we'll see you in 2025.
Yeah, guys, stay informed, stay cautious, protect your financial future. Happy holidays, guys, and have a great Happy New Year.
Peace.